Here are some facts in America most don't know but should. The IRS is not a U.S. government agency. It is an agency of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Diversified Metal Products versus IRS ETL CV-93-405E-EJE USD CDI Public Law 94-564 Senate Report 94 1148 page 5967 Recognition Plan Number 26 Public Law 102-391. Again, the IRS is not a U.S. government agency. It is an agency of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. 2. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, is an agency of the United Nations. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, page 816. 3. The United States has not had a treasury since 1921. We find that 41 Stat, chapter 214, page 654. The U.S. Treasury is now the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Presidential document, volume 24-NO, page 4, NO period 4, page 113, Title 22, USC 285 through dash 2887. The United States does not have any employees because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganization after over 200 years of bankruptcy. It's finally over. Executive Order 12,803. Again, the United States does not have any employees because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganization after over 200 years of bankruptcy. It's finally over. Executive Order 12,803. The FCC, CIA, FBI, ATF, NASA, NSA, and all other alphabet gangs were never part of the U.S. government, even though the U.S. government held stock in the agencies. U.S. versus Strange, 254, U.S. 491, Lewis versus U.S. 680, F period 2D, 1239 or 1239. Social Security numbers are issued by the UN through the IMF, International Monetary Fund. The application for a Social Security number is the SS5 form. The Department of the Treasury, IMF, issues the SS5 form, not the Social Security Administration. The new SS5 forms do not state who publishes them, while the old form states they are Department of Treasury. Title 20, CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, Chapter 111, Subpart B, 422.103, lowercase b. 8. There are no judicial courts in America and have not been since 1789. Judges do not enforce statutes, codes, city ordinances, and provisions and policies. Executive administrators enforce statutes, codes, municipal provisions, policies. That's FRC versus GE 281, US 464, Keller versus PE 261, US 428, First Stat 138-178. 9. There have not been any judges in America since 1789. There have just been administrators. FRC versus GE 281 US 464, Keller versus PE 261 US 428, First Stat 138 178. Number 10. According to GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, you must have a Social Security number. House Report 103-826. Number 11. New York City is defined in federal regulations as the United Nations. Rudolph Giuliani stated on C-SPAN that New York City is the capital of the world. For once, he told the truth. Title 20, CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, Chapter 111, Subpart B, 44.103, B, lowercase b, 2. Social Security is not insurance or a contract, nor is it a trust fund, but rather an estate. Holvering versus Davis, 301 U.S. 619, Stewart Co. versus Davis, 301 U.S. 548. Number 13, the Social Security check comes directly from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, which was taken over by the Queen of England a long time ago, which is an agency of the United Nations. It says U.S. Department of Treasury at the top left corner, which again is part of the United Nations as pointed out above. Number 14, you own no property. Slaves can't own property. Read carefully the deed to the property you think is yours. You are listed as a tenant. Now, there are some things you can do to change that, but you have to learn. Senate Document 43, 73rd Congress, First Session. 15. Most powerful court in America is not the United States Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. 42 PA period CSA 502. Number 16. The King of England financially backed both sides of the American Revolutionary War. Treaty to Versailles, July 16, 1782, Treaty of Peace 8, Stat 80. Number 17. You cannot use the U.S. Constitution to defend yourself because you are not a party to it. Paddleford, Fay, and Co. versus the mayor and aldermen of the city of Savannah, 14, Georgia, 438, 520. Number 18. America is a British colony. The United States is a corporation, not a landmass, and it existed before the Revolutionary War, and the British troops did not leave until 1796. Republica versus Swears, 1 Dallas 43, Treaty of Commerce 8 Stat 116, Treaty of Peace 8 Stat 80, IRS Publication 6209, Articles of Association October 20th, 1774. 19. Britain is owned by the Vatican. Treaty of 1213. 20. The Pope can abolish any law in the United States. Elements of Ecclesiastical Law, Volume 1, 53 through 54. 21. A 1040 form is for tribute paid to Britain. IRS Publication 6209. 22. The Pope claims to own the entire planet through the laws of conquest and discovery, palpables of 1495 and 1493. 23. The Pope has ordered the genocide and enslavement of millions of people, palpables of 1455 and 1493. 24. The Pope's laws are obligatory on everyone. Benend XIV, DESYN, D sign, period, DIOEC, comma, lib, comma, IX, comma, C period, VII, comma, N period, 4 period, PRATI, comma, 1844 syllabus, Prop 28, comma, 29, comma, 44. 25. We are slaves and own absolutely nothing, not even what we think are our children. Tillman versus Roberts, 108 SO period 62, comma, Van Corten versus Van Coten, 154 N period E period 146, Senate document 438, 73rd Congress, first session, Weinhammer versus People, 13 N period Y period Rep 378, comma, 481. 26. Military dictator George Washington divided up the states into districts. Messages and paper of the President, Volume 1, page 99, 1828, Dictionary of Estate. 27. The people does not include you and me. Barron versus Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, 32 U.S. 243. 28. It is not the duty of the police to protect you. Their job is to protect the corporation and arrest code breakers. SAPP versus Tallahassee, comma, 348 SO period 2ND period 363, comma, REIFF versus City of Philly, 477 F period 1262. Lynch versus NC Department of Justice, 376 S period E period 2nd period 247. 29. Everything in the United States is up for sale. Bridges, roads, water, schools, hospitals, prisons, airports, etc. Did anybody take the time to check who bought Klamath Lake? Klamath Lake. Executive Order 12,803. Number 30. We are human capital. Executive Order 13,037. 31. The United Nations has financed the operation of the United States government for over 50 years. U.S. Department of Treasury is part of the UN, see above, and now owns every man, woman, and child in America. The UN also holds all the land of America in fee simple. The good news is we don't have to fulfill our fictitious obligations. You can discharge a fictitious obligation with another fictitious obligation. These documents are not secret. They are a matter of public record. Simple words such as person, citizen, people, or nation, crime, charge, right, statute, preferred, prefer, constitutor, creditor, debtor, debt, discharge, payment, law, and United States does not mean what we think it does because we were never taught the legal definition of the above words. The illusion is much larger than what is cited on this page. Please please become educated for yourself. The other thing I have here in front of me, printed on paper because it was so important, I felt the need to print it. The apostolic letter issued motu proprio of the Supreme Pontiff Francis. Now, when we go back to what I was saying earlier, is the Pope can create a law on a whim in an instant, and it affects the people of the world. So listen to this and listen very clearly. This was issued by the Pope in 2013 of the Supreme Pontiff Francis on the jurisdiction of judicial authorities of Vatican City State in criminal matters. In our times, the common good is increasingly threatened by transnational organized crime, the improper use of the markets, and of the economy, as well as by terrorism. It is therefore necessary for the international community to adopt adequate legal instruments to prevent and counter criminal activities by promoting international judicial cooperation on criminal matters and ratifying numerous international conventions in these areas, and acting also on behalf of Vatican City State. The Holy See has constantly maintained that such agreements are effective means to prevent criminal activity that threaten human dignity, the common good, and peace. With a view to renewing the Apostolic See's commitment to cooperate to these ends, by means of this apostolic letter issued motu proprio, I established that. Okay, he's writing into law, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very important. And it's important to understand the power of the Vatican. All right? The competent judicial authorities of Vatican City State shall also exercise penal jurisdiction over a crimes committed against the security, the fundamental interests, or the patrimony of the Holy See. B, crimes referred to in Vatican State Law number VIII of 11 July 2013, containing supplementary norms of criminal law matters, in Vatican City State Law number IX of July 11, 2013, containing amendments to the Criminal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code. When such crimes are committed by the person referred to in paragraph 3 below, in the exercise of their function, all right, in the exercise of their office, all right, they're working for corporations to fleece you, all right, so we're talking about the capacity of the office. Any other crime, those prosecutions is required by an international agreement ratified by the Holy See. Now we're talking about international law and international contract. If the perpetrator is physically present in the territory of Vatican State, and has not been extradited. 2, the crimes referred to in paragraph 1 are to be judged pursuant to the criminal law in force in Vatican City State at the time of their commission, without prejudice to the general principle of the legal system on the temporal application of criminal law. 3, for the purpose of Vatican criminal law, the following persons are deemed public officials. Former private officials exempt from law are now within the laws dictates and are held liable, aka public servants. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't express to you how important the motu proprio of 2013 truly was and is ever prevalent today. A, members, officials, and personnel of the various organs of the Roman Curia and of the institution connected to it. Worldwide corporations and all individuals in trust are corporations pursuant to their birth certificate. B, palpable legates and diplomatic personnel of the Holy See. The Pope governs the church, people, trust, all the people in the birth trust through the Roman Curia, the governing body of the Vatican. C, those persons who serve as representatives, managers, or directors, as well as persons who even de facto manage or exercise control over the entities utilizing color of law, public servants directly dependent on the Holy See, trust beneficiaries, and listed in the registry through birth certificates of canonical judicial persons legal fictions represented by your birth certificate, all caps name, estate, kept by the government of Vatican City State. D, any other person holding an administrative or judicial mandate in the Holy See, permanent or temporary, paid or unpaid, irrespective of the person's seniority, all public servants. 4, the jurisdiction referred to in paragraph 1 comprises also the administrative liability of judicial persons arising from crimes. As regulated by Vatican City State law, public servants are now liable for crimes against humanity. This is huge. 4, the jurisdiction referred to, I read that one. 5, when the same matters are prosecuted in other states, the provisions in force in Vatican City State on concurrent jurisdiction shall apply. 6, the content of Article 23 of the law number CXIX of November 21st, 1987, which approves the judicial order of the Vatican City State, remains in force. This I decided and established, anything to the contrary notwithstanding. This is an order, ladies and gentlemen. This is a law created by the Pope. I established that this apostolic letter is issued motu proprio, all right, will be promulgated by its publication in Lo Osservatore, OSSER, Romano, entering into force on September 1st, 2013. It's a law as of September 1st, 2013, given in Rome, because all roads lead to Rome, yet again, ladies and gentlemen, at the Apostolic Palace on July 11th, 2013, the first of my pontificate, Francis. All right, and it's copyrighted. It's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to share that with you because all agents and agency are directly or indirectly related to the Vatican, and it's important for you to understand that connection because in 1302, when man created the first trust, it was the largest trust ever created and conceived to this date, except for the everlasting covenant that was provided to you by your heavenly creator, by Yahshua, by the divine. And so that covenant supersedes the covenant of man, of the Roman cult. And Rome never fell. It just changed names, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the same players still held the same key positions as it altered its name. Everything is a corporation. Everything is run in trust. It can be no other way because of the facetious monetary system that we now have, all right? And so, for example, mine is the Derek Chaton Gonzalez estate, okay? And I don't want to own it. I want to be the executor of it. And at the same time, I can wear multiple hats. I can be the executor one moment, the beneficiary the next. There are times I may feel the need to be the trustee. Remember, a trust is still a trust, even absent a trustee. And so when we look at probate, what they did with your birth certificate is actually a death certificate, and it's been probated, all right? And that proves the estate. Now from the estate, we can create trusts. And that's what's happening. So once the estate was created and probated, the decedent, again, is you and me. We're decedents. Because the very definition of decedent is to be dying. And we're all currently dying from the moment we're born. We're dead. We're dying. Okay? It doesn't mean you are a decedent. You're dead is not the definition for decedent. The definition for decedent is dying. And we are all dying. But that estate is there. And the trusts that are emanated and created from that estate, they're utilizing your social security number, your birth registration numbers, your addresses. They're stealing your identity, okay? And then you go in there and you facetiously and arrogantly claim to be the name. You can never be the name. You're not the name. There is an estate. And I want to know which one of you rat bastards has a delegation of authority to intervene in this estate. Where did you get your authority? Show it to me. It must be in physical written form, your delegation of authority to administer this estate, or your trespass. Watch how fast your case disappears. If they want to give you a bunch of riffraff in the court, fine. I now appoint you as holding superiority, as filling the office of executor. I now appoint you as trustee. Hot potatoes in your court. And I am now commanding and compelling you to make sure that the estate has not been caused any harm, damage, injury, or loss, and that all accounts shall be made whole again and returned to the estate. Put them on the spot. Make them the trustee. Watch how quick they change their tune. Now, you can't go into a court frivolously speaking these things and not know it in your heart to be true. You will get run over. And don't deviate from it. You are the authority in the room. They don't have any authority. Go check with the Secretary of State. Their business isn't registered. They're fleecing people at a phenomenal rate due to their ignorance. But appoint them as trustee. Absent a crime, absent a victim, there's nothing anybody can do to you. Because no man has the delegated authority to tell another man what to do. Period. You could make suggestions, most certainly, but you have no duty to obey those suggestions. So with that, I hope this helps you out. Understand that the Derek Chaton Gonzalez estate is just that. It's an estate. And once the estate is created, then the trusts can be created, okay? The trust never happens without the estate. The estate has to be created first. And the estate was created at your birth with a birth certificate that is a death certificate that was probated through the state registrar's office, okay, in their official capacity. That's how it got started. The Social Security number comes from the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, all right? Nothing is what you've ever been taught. Nothing is what you've ever been told. And our school systems need to change, effective immediately. We need to start educating our youth, because we can nip this in the butt tomorrow by educating one generation of youth properly. We can annihilate this benign system that is not beneficial to anybody but a few. And when I say a few, I mean literally a few. Maybe out of 9 billion people, 100,000 people benefit from this system greatly. And the rest are all subservient slaves that just live a little higher on the horse. That's it. That's all it is. And when you finally come to that realization that we need to drastically change our education, because it's always the victor who writes the history. And the victor oftentimes has immoral things that they wish to gain. And one of those is the involuntary servitude through ignorance. That's why you're seeing Common Core. The more ignorant the populace, the easier it is to fleece the shit out of them. The next generation coming up will have nothing if we don't stand and do something now. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about violent action. Violent action only leads to mass confusion, which leads to mass manipulation. We, as a people, don't need that shit. I think there's enough blood on everybody's hands to last 20,000 lifetimes. So what do we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, to combat this nefarious activities that's being had by sinister men yielding corporations over living souls, taking you away from God, taking you away from the Creator? We need to have an ascension of the mind. We need to become learned, and quickly, because time is of the essence. Evil doesn't just manifest itself. Evil comes from good, all right? Evil wasn't prevalent if good wasn't there. Good was there first. And in order for evil to have been emulated, good must have first existed. So I take you back to the lesson of the grapes. The grapes grow on the vine. They're good. You harvest them when they're ready to be harvested. You set them on the table, and one starts to spoil and go rotten, right? If you don't pluck that grape that's rotten from the stem and discard it, then the grape next to it starts to get rotten, and the grape next to that, and before long, all your grapes are rotten. And that is exactly what has transpired with these corporations due to the lack of our knowledge, all right, of what they're actually doing. And we can no longer allow bad grapes to sit there and multiply. It's time for us to clean house, because that is the power of the people. The power of the people to quash a quasi-governmental entity lording over them. That power rests within us, but we cannot do it with violence. Violence only leads, again, to mass confusion, which will inevitably lead to mass manipulation of the dumbed-down masses, and we cannot allow that. So this fight is done on paper and pen with knowledge, intent, and integrity. You are the media. You are the people that bring forth the truth. You show us what's going on in your neighborhoods by your videos, and we appreciate it because it's time for the people to wake up. Shooting unarmed men and women and children is not acceptable overseas in a time of war. So why the hell is it acceptable in this land? That's an atrocity, ladies and gentlemen. That's an atrocity. So, what I am proposing is that we share these videos, that we start to have an awakening, an enlightenment of the mind, and we start holding these people accountable. Well, Derek, how do we do that? We start showing up in masses to the courts, because the courts is where you're going to see the first bit of change. You're never going to change Washington, D.C. It's not happening. They're parasites. It's a whole legion of parasites. And you have to eradicate those parasites by enforcing your will through the court system, by standing up for the people that are being unjustly fleeced. Start educating your populace and go in there with them. And when they're saying the right thing, stand up in the peanut gallery and state your objection. I'm a man, and what you're doing here is inherently wrong. I just heard that woman say she had no intent to cause any harm, damage, injury, or loss, and I don't see a fucking plaintiff over there. What are you guys doing in here? This is a synagogue, one for which Jesus would have came in and turned over your tables and your tabernacles and all your hypothecated credit. So why are we allowing it? Think about that for a minute. Think about how you can help your neighbor in time of need by just simply being there in a court to bear witness to what they're doing. Remember, 2 or more witnesses is more than sufficient to bring an action. 2 or more. But those witnesses also have to be knowledgeable as to what is actually truly transpiring. If we don't start educating ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, mark my words, your offspring in the near future will be in real chains. Real chains. Because we're already there. These chains we wear now are invisible, only due to our lack of knowledge. The physical chains are coming. They're preparing for that with the red flag gun laws, which aren't laws or statutes, codes, and provisions that nobody has to abide by. That's not due process of law to take one's right to defend himself. That's not due process of law. All right? We've strown away so far from the good book and the Bible and the good lessons that it has within it that we have lost our freedom, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, most people don't know what freedom is unless somebody's telling them, oh, this is what freedom is. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. This is freedom. And they just go, okay, I mean, if you say so, this is freedom. I didn't think freedom was this way, but I mean, I don't know anything, so you telling me because I don't know, it makes sense. Thank you. I'll put my hands behind my back. That's asinine, people. And we're the ones to blame because we're at the helm. We're at the wheel of this whole ordeal. And our lack of due diligence and our lack to stand up is what has got us to this situation today. So stand with me, go to these courts, be witnesses for your friend, become knowledgeable so you can write up affidavits properly and correctly. Remember, it takes 2 witnesses, 3 is affirmative, 2 to bring an action. 3, you're on a roll. You got 3 people willing to testify under the pains and penalties of perjury, the eternal damnation of their soul, that judge sitting on the bench practiced law from the bench, you got them. Or that they violated emoluments violations, you got them. Or that they broke their oath of office, you got them. Remember this, an officer of the law can't be the process server and the witness at the same time. So what's he doing issuing that ticket on the side of the road? Because he can only be one of 2 positions. He can be the process server, so you were properly served, or he can be the witness, but he can't be them both. And he damn sure better not be wearing his uniform when he goes to sit up there on the stand and being paid at the same time to testify against you when he's trained to lie while wearing that uniform. Ooh, Son of a bitch. Ain't that something? But let's get into it even more so. Why he can't do that. Because he's fulfilling an office. He's sitting in an office wearing that uniform, right? He's not one of the people. He's a foreign agent that isn't registered with the Foreign Registration Act of 1938. All his testimony is hearsay and stricken from the record. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's the power. That's the wealth in knowledge. Wealth isn't held in fiat. Wealth isn't held in debt. Wealth is held in the mind. Might be one of the wealthiest men you've ever met in your life, and it's not based upon materialistic things. And that's the mindset you have to traverse from. You have to get out of that mindset. I appreciate your time. Share this with all your loved ones. Expand and open one's mind. That's all you have to do. You're going to change things for the positive by working locally in your community, talking to your local sheriff. That's where it starts. Sheriff, I got some questions. I believe you took this position with honor, dignity, and respect, and I believe you have the fullest intentions of making sure that our freedoms are protected. Are you with us? I'm not asking you to act violently against anybody, no agency, anything like that. What I'm asking you to do is clear out your ears, open your eyes, make an observation, create a record, and report it. And I will stand with you. When you see something unjust, call to my attention, call to the people in the community's attention, and we will come and evaluate it with you. And if it's not good for them, it's not good for any of us, right? To allow one man's rights to be violated is a trespass against all. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to stop that. That's where it needs to end. No more senseless violence in the streets executed by gun-toting, badge-wearing morons. It's absolutely unexcusable and unacceptable. Women in their own homes are now being murdered in other states by gun-toting morons in fear for their life while they trespass on another man or woman's property. I'll tell you, at this moment in time, nobody ever call me in for a welfare check. I'd rather die in pain and suffering than being shot by a gun-toting scared moron. Just let me be. Don't ever call me in for a welfare check. I don't need that shit. And nor does anybody else, quite frankly. So the importance, again, of knowing your neighbor. If you want to check on me, you just come over and knock on the door. No need to call law enforcement. Because I don't need a gun-toting moron putting a hole in me because he's scared because I look intimidating. My skin color is a little darker than his, and he's scared. Oh, shit. He's in the wrong profession if he's scared of everything. Sons of bitches are scared of their own damn shadows. With that said, I hope this video helps you and your family. I only do these videos to help you have an ascension of the mind. Earlier today, we did a video on unlawful incarceration and detainment. I hope you share that with your friends and your family. Ken Doss and I are going to be working one-on-one on a Zoom call very, very soon to walk through the steps of the patent trademark. I believe it's extraordinarily important in this commercial commerce world to have that trademark and patent in place. And we are going to get that to you, all right? That information will be released to you. But it comes with a great responsibility. This is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the people who are unwilling to learn. This is not a silver bullet. This is not a golden ticket. Trials and tribulations, ladies and gentlemen, are what will help you ascend to the mind. The struggles that you go through today and how you handle them define who you are, all right? So let's have an ascension of the mind. Let's help people that are dealing with CPS stealing their offspring. That is human trafficking. If I go to somebody's house, beat on the door, have a couple of thugs in costumes standing next to me and say, give me your kid or else, that's human trafficking. You have an action against these people for what they're doing, all right? And the only reason they're bringing a cop is because if they were to come there by themselves, more than likely they'd get shot for attempted kidnapping. A CPS agent shows up on my property trying to steal mine, ooh, not good, not good. And for any willing participant that comes there and tries to aid and embed the theft of my property, my DNA, ooh, not good. It's time to stand together. It's time to unite. It's time to get educated, all right? And remember, the peaceful solution is the only solution, ladies and gentlemen. There is a time to kill. It's written in the Bible. But there is also murder, and that is an atrocity. That is a violation of the law. Murder is innately wrong, clean across the board through all countries and all nations. The Bible says there's a time to kill, and they're right about that. There's a time to defend oneself. There's a time where words and paper just don't do it. But I ask you to remember this. Unless in imminent danger, never take that route. Never take that road, because it will forever weigh heavy on your soul. Did you do the right thing at the right time? Who knows? Who's to say? But one thing about peaceful resolution is that you can go to bed at night knowing you did the best you could and you stood on morals and principles and sound ground. Thank you.